Good day and hi everyone. Welcome back to our special show Recall Back with I'm Khalid. Well, today we have a special guest and few audience with us in the show. Before that, due to the pandemic current situation, we are not able to do the face-to-face talk, but luckily we are able to connect with the online show. Now we go to the show. Hi Mishira. Well, how are you feeling now?
Hi. Well, great.
Before we start our interesting talk, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Nurshera, 21 years old, and I survived a car accident 2 years ago.
Well, Mishira, do you mind to share what happened in the incident?
Well, of course. So, I was in my second university at that time. My roommate and I decided to go to our friend's house, which was located somewhere in Tanjung Manim. And we live in the hostel, but our friend lived outside of the hostel because she has a lot of practice to do, and she was once a faculty music and art student. So we went there, had a lot of fun, talks a lot, and plays games, what friends should do. And then when it was time to go back, I still vividly remember it's 21 September 2019, and she willingly want to drive us back to the campus. So it was the one time in my life I didn't have my seatbelt on because I was struggling with a box of leftover pizza in my hand, and it was hard for me to put my seatbelt on. And so the driver, right, my friend, was going faster than she should, even though there's no any other car. But she was very, very fast. And I don't know specifically when, but she lost control of the car and just went up to an incline. And well, frankly, she was driving dangerously, so we hit a tree and rolled, causing the driver to be thrown out of the window, and I was pulled to the front, to the driver's seat. And my roommate was very keen to her surroundings, so she started to pull me out of the car because she can see smoke start coming out of the bonnet. And I don't recall much except for the fishtailing and then being pulled out. I remember an ambulance getting on board, driving me to the nearest hospital. Mind you that the nearest hospital there was 1 hour drive long. I think I fainted through the journey, through the journey to the hospital, and I didn't really know what happened to my friends. But thankfully, thank God, they were still alive until this day.
That got so close. How do you feel the moment you meet with an accident?
Right. So, yeah. When I assume that an accident is going to happen, bad thing is going to happen, I was terrified.
Thank God, you are really lucky. And how long does it take for you to recover from the injury and trauma?
Well, I don't recall having any big injuries, but I do have a few fractured fingers, and my thumb fractured, my other fingers fractured too. I don't know why, because why is it? Because it's me who was thrown out to the driver's seat. Maybe because of I was pushing my hand with my body forcefully, so that's why. And I dislocate my right hand. Um, yeah, that's the injuries, but still, the trauma that I had at that time, nothing can beat that. It took me like 1 to 2 months to recover from the injuries, but it took me like 1 year and a half to just completely not forget, completely get over the trauma of that accident. Yeah, it was very scary.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shira. Well, we are in our last moment of the show. Ms. Shira, do you have any advice to give or anything you want to say to the viewers?
A few pieces of advice that I would want to tell the viewers is that it is a fact of me, it is a fact, a fault of me not putting on my seatbelt. You may blame my friends of driving too fast, but I do think that I am one of the causes for the accident to happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the meaningful piece of advice, Ms. Shira. And before we end up our show today, we have some Q&A segment with our audience. Well, how do you think you are going to overcome your fear? Let me hear from our audience.
Alright, based on the accident that Shira had experienced, I found that she was very resilient in the face of allegations. In this case, she and her friends experienced an accident that provides useful lesson to others. In this situation, the safety factor is crucial as it is decisive to our future life. Her friends should not have to drive too fast during that time. And Shira also made the mistake of not wearing a seatbelt while becoming the passenger in that vehicle. As a result, more serious injuries have been suffered due to their mistakes. And if I were Shira in that situation, I would advise my friend who is driving to slow down the vehicle to avoid unwanted incidents. I will also make sure all safety instructions are followed. For example, wearing a seatbelt and so on. This in turn can help us at least avoid serious injuries when involved in an accident.
Well, we have the second audience, that is Miss Diana. Well, what do you think, Miss Diana?
My opinion about Shahira's accident story is that I would say that her roommate took a good quick action by pulling her out from the car, because it seems like the car might explode at any time, which may cause death to both of them. Her decisions had saved her friend's life even though she knew she got herself in danger. Other than that, from my point of view, Shahira is one of the people that is incredibly amazing because she could overcome her trauma. Not everyone can face their fears, and some won't even ask for help from the professionals. Trauma can be treated by giving yourself some time to accept and get over what has happened. Also, talking to your family and close friends can be a relief to your trauma. Last but not least, we as the listener should have known by now the importance of obeying the rules on the road while driving, and we should not neglect the safety factors. From her story, we can identify the causes of accident, which are speeding on the road, and also injuries could be worse if we do not apply safety factor like wearing a seat belt. By applying all the safety measures, we could avoid accidents and serious injuries from happening.
What about you, Miss Tina?
Good day, everyone. Based on my observation, first of all, I was glad to notice that Shira managed to survive the accident without suffering any major injuries. The accident made a great twist in her life, thus putting her life nearly at risk of losing everything. Other than that, it might seem like it's her friend's fault for putting their life at risk, but we as humans, we could not smell the bad luck before it happens. Also, I am truly thankful to Shira's friend's quick thinking because she managed to pull Shira out of the car before anything else bad happened. As a conclusion, we as observers notice that it is always important to fasten your seatbelt in a proper way to avoid yourself from being thrown in front, which can cause a severe brain damage. Lastly, I am thankful that Shira managed to overcome her fear and the trauma of that incident. Thank you.
Well, what do you think, Mr. Dari?
As a friend of hers, I am proud and relieved that she has overcome her trauma. The incident took a great toll on her life and made her life harder as days went on. But she came through just fine and back to her normal self. It was an awful period of time as she was basically drowned by her trauma. All the things that she loved were shown little to no interest, thus she was emotionally torn almost all the time. But with the help of those who were close to her, she made a remarkable recovery. She was finally brave enough to travel short distances in a car and on the road. Even though it took a lot of time to get her to be brave enough to try going onto the highways, with a lot of patience, she made it there and was able to travel long trips and enjoy going to places again. There were a lot of joyful tears were being shed when she made the progress to be better and take a good hold of herself again. I can also tell that she is being more cautious than she was in the past and take close attention regarding road safety. She has been taking her advice really well.
This is our last audience, that is Mr. Abraham. Let's be listen to what is you want to say.
After listening to what Shahira has gone through, I came to realize that things can go horribly wrong even in a fraction of a second. One wrong move may result in a very fatal consequence. Well, a lot of situations won't necessarily result in a fatal outcome, but I think it is still better for us to think further ahead of what outcomes our action or possible mistakes may influence our future. And in this case, Shahira mentioned that she did not have her seatbelt on as she was preoccupied with something else while knowing very well that she should have put on the seatbelt at that time. And despite knowing that, she still neglects it, and in the end, it fractured her fingers and dislocated her hand. If she had put on her seatbelt, she probably won't be having any injuries, or at least it would have minimized the injury. So we can see that even a small mistake will often result in a severe outcome. And even if you do know the possible consequences, neglecting them will bear the same result. So whenever we come upon a situation which we know will have an impact on what might happen based on our action, maybe we should think a little further ahead, and in the short term event where we have choices to make, we should always choose one that less harmful.
Thank you so much to our audience, and last but not least, I would like to share something that we should be careful always in everywhere and at every time. Things is happening because our 1 second of the carelessness. There was a lot of advice that we have been shared from this show. We hope all of you will think before step. We meet you when we meet you. Until that, take care and be safe. Thank you very much.